You're going in our good car, Rusty. Hear that start right up? Hear how nicely it sounds? May I have the rubbish? 2 bags of rubbish. Thank you. That's where we got a ticket. Victor says the battery's dead in his car. He says, you didn't take it to work. You said you were going to take it to work with the motor in. He says the battery's dead. He says, I'll get Rusty. You get a picture.
Hey, Rusty. What's going on, Rusty? Huh? Hey, Rusty. Come on, let's see Joe. Come on. Come on.
Who's that? My pal! Hiya, pal! Hiya, pal! Come here. Well, you don't want to be my pal anymore. He knows who's feeding him, who's taking good care of him than I had to.
Come on.
How you doing, dear?
Go see
Hiya, buddy.
Yeah, you go see your pal.
How you feeling, eh?
Yeah.
How you doing, big guy? How you doing? How's the gentleman dog?
That's right, it is.
You're the gentleman dog now, huh? No more being chased around by the rats?
No.
Uh-huh. You lucky guy.
Yeah,
You
he
deserve
is.
it. You're a good boy. So smart.
What?
He's such a... The more you know him, the smarter you see him.
Oh, he's very smart, yeah.
He's such a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's such a smart guy. I know.
Want to see George?
That's Rosa. Remember the Rusty?
Hey, Rusty.
You hold the leash, Billy.
No, excuse me, Billy.
You know him. You want to hit his old. You want to see if his old girlfriend's hanging out.
Where you been, Rusty? Come here. Rusty.
Hi.
Come here. Where you going?
Isn't that exciting, Rusty?
Yeah.
Where's Steve?
Waddy's out sick today.
Oh, and he missed Rusty.
He missed the rust.
What a good visit he had. Oh, he had a good time, but he's glad to go back. The Lincoln was stolen, about 7 parking spaces down there, Boston Road, at Route 1. I mean, at Route 20. It is the last flower of November, trying so hard to go on with life. What beautiful November weather. There's another November flower. Isn't he cute? Always know how to stay out of sight, like the Dolans. Here's a lucky nickel. Want a nickel, Rocky? Hi, here's a nickel. Here's a nickel for you.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
I'll put it on your post here.
Oh, don't worry, you can keep it. You can keep it. It's probably not my nickel, because I count every nickel.
I don't know anything a nickel will buy.
You get cannoli from there? You see her? Does your camera good at once?
Yeah, let me see her.
Say hello, cannoli.
Hi, Cannoli. So, oh, she isn't saying anything.
Now, I saw your dog this morning. Nobody was with her.
Hi, Cannoli. Hi, Cannoli. Hi, Cannoli. Parking on the wrong side of the street on street cleaner day. Watch him go right into his house. You go right into his house. Rusty's food before he eats. Well, he sniffs it and then he looks up and he says thank you. And then he eats. Folks, all the wood is gone. The whole patio was a mess of picket fence. And it was cut into pieces. At first too big. And oh, see the pumpkin, still trying. And then it was all burned. How many pieces? 812. 812 picket pieces. He sounds just like Rocky. What happened to that dish? What happened to that dish? All that food I gave it. What happened to it? The fire is gone, folks, and for a long, long time. Now I'm going to read you the legal paper. First one of the day. So this is the file. Green marble. This is the case where I went in to pay a parking ticket for parking on the wrong side of the street the day of the street cleaner. And I think it was $25. And I was pushed and shoved by a Neanderthal New York State court officer, number 1763. And so I'm pushed and shoved into the elevator along with my camcorder. And so the paper that just went out November the 15th, 2000. Today is the 16th. I started it yesterday, 4 days from Veterans Day. United States District Court, District of Indiana, Glendora plaintiff versus Joseph J. Trafficante. He's the head of the administration of the courts for all courts outside the county of New York. Neanderthal, New York State Court Officer, number 1763, Chief of Court Officer Security for Westchester County, Chief of Court Officers for State of New York, and the City of Mount Vernon, and Francis A. Nicolai, defendants. And this is Glendora's reply to Dillon, D-I-L-L-I-N, 10 Lies of November the 2nd, 2000. Who is Dillon? He's an old man, too old to be a judge, on the mistaken assumption that he was appointed for life when he's appointed only for good behavior, in the United States District Court, District of Indianapolis, where they treat Americans' rights as illegally and as fast as the Indianapolis Speedway. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora tells you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and always has so help her God. Dillon does not. Dillon is the judge, so-called. You were dumb enough to make the mistake, but you are dumber to try to cover it up. This is Nixonism. There are 10 lies in Dillon's paper of November 2nd, 2000, received by Glendora a week later on November the 9th, 2000. You are captious to type the caption wrong, and now you are trying to say you did not commit the error. And stubbornly you infect the circuit, the 7th Circuit, with your disease. Has the informa pauperis for the appeal been consummated? If it has, Glendora will go through with the appeal. If it has not, Glendora will withdraw the notice of appeal and simply sue Dillon and his inept clerks in another court. Dillon will be sued for far more than error and abuse of discretion. He has already been sent the list under Title 42 U.S. Code Section 1983, and no judge is immune from Section 1983. Suing is simpler, and it takes less time. Glendora served thee within upon all defendants, upon Dillon, and upon the chief judges, or judge rather, of the United States Court of Appeals 7th. The 7th Circuit is Chicago, folks. Dillon is still writing the wrong caption, even with defendants' names in boxes on the last page of the complaint. Dated White Plains, New York, November 15, 2000, yours in truth, Glendora, a chat with Glendora, Box 416, White Plains, New York, 914-949-9495. And you see in the complaint were all of the defendants' names and addresses. So how could they get them wrong? Okay, here is his dippy order that has 10 lies in it. And I've said what has to be said about that. Then I wrote to Ralph Meekum, who is the administrator of U.S. Courts, Washington, D.C. 20540. And I say, you are not doing a good job administering these courts. Failures are the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, the United States District Court, Eastern District of New York, puts me to sleep, and they're the worst of all. The United States District Court, Boston, the United States District Court, New Jersey, the United States District Court, Philadelphia, the United States District Court, Houston, the United States District Court, Los Angeles, the United States District Court, Little Rock, the United States District Court, Indianapolis, United States District Court, Detroit, together with the United States Court of Appeals First, the United States Court of Appeals Second, the United States Court of Appeals Third, the United States Court of Appeals Fifth, that's New Orleans, and the United States Court of Appeals Seventh, that's Chicago. Dated White Plains, New York, November the 16th, 2000, Anno Domini. Chief Judge, United States Court of Appeals, 7th Circuit, 219 South Dearborn Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60604. Why can't your people read a legal paper from page 1 to page 20 instead of from page 20 to wherever they stopped reading? Why do they start at page 20? 3, why do they censor and prohibit speech? Your people intercepted my paper and did not even send it to you. This is Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 2702, tampering with the files, a criminal offense. Glendora wants you to read the enclosed papers and put them in her United States Court of Appeals 7th Circuit file. A post-it is not a legal paper. And that follows the other letter that I wrote to Chief Judge, which they sent back, and the 20 pages along with it. And here's a couple of their envelopes. And they do not have the designated address. And Glendora says, can't you get anything right? And this time on a post-it, this is what the clerk said. See the typewritten part? We are not the district court. All submissions in this court must list this court heading and docket number. Well, that's not the point at all. That was the last page. That was an exhibit that comes from the district court. We will not return this to you again at government expense. Pro se clerk, it is signed. I mean, it is said to be typewritten, but you see, there's no signature and there's no date. And so I sent it again, and I'm glad they're not going to return it again. Thank heaven for that. And here's the paper they returned that they should have kept. Okay, so the hours on that, clerk error and judge incompetence. The hours are 4 hours, $10. It's Opus 488. The total hours on this crooked Neanderthal court officer, and these people don't stand up for what is right, is 133 hours, and the amount of money is $1,132.72. So let's close the file on that and hope not to hear from them with any more of their errors for a long time. Let's hope they get it straight. And it's really too much to hope that the district court would give you justice, and it's too much to hope that the Court of Appeals will give you justice. All we've got is a crooked bunch of courts. So now, at 1 o'clock, 12:58, I have to do another price paper. So let me do that and then read it to you. It's better than telling you about it. Isn't the November sunshine pretty? Coming into the living room at 2 p.m. Here's a cat, folks, to keep you company. She's been out for a couple hours today. It's a November day. It does that to you. And would you like a jelly bean? Rusty's in the 1993 Lincoln. Franklin is still out on the errands. All afternoon I've been doing this one legal paper opposing Kuhlman, the liar for hire for cablevision in the St. Louis court. I wrote it, and it had to be printed 33 sets, 3 sheets. And I'm doing the envelopes. Return address and the address. I have to scratch Penny's ears and her chinny chin chin. And this one is to Robert M. Goldberg, an arrested party. It's amazing how much Scotch tape we use up, but this is what does it. We don't use up any Scotch, though. Is that right, Penny? We're on the last 9 envelopes. 20 have been done. The next thing I have to do is read it to you and label each one. Fold and stuff, seal, and then serve. Oh, I have to do an affirmation of service. It's been collated. The court. The court is the United States District Court, Eastern District of Missouri, St. Louis. The date is November 16, 2000, Anno Domini. The defendants are, or rather the plaintiffs are, Lori Galgano, Philip Goldstein, and Glendora, and Richard Einhorn, and James Burness and Kelly Burness, and Zabby, and the Public Access Television Association, and E. Rasan Hoskins. Those are the plaintiffs. The defendants are James L. Dolan, Charles F. Dolan, Robert S. Lemley, Charles Former, Cablevision Systems Corporation, Mark Shukin, which they always misspell, Shuskin, Brian McNeil, Maurice Cunningham, Robert Callagy, Sally Stevens, Burke and Burke, Group 1 defendants, Peter I. Bajur, Texaco Incorporated, his board of directors, and Tim Miller, Group 2 defendants. And Glendora, this is plaintiff Glendora's reply to Kuhlman's opposition, quote unquote, to adding Salhouse through Astorita as defendants. Group 1. Glendora made a motion to add as defendants, you remember, Victoria D. Salhouse, Paul Ryan, Tony LaValliere, Robert Astorita, Salhouse's secretary, Maureen. And Glendora says Kuhlman's opposition is a poor substitute for a serious fight to defeat Glendora's motion. Glendora sees Glendora's paper. Glendora sees Kuhlman's paper as billable time. Kuhlman's paper has glaring defects, and Glendora has failed to defend, and Kuhlman has failed to defend himself and callagy against Rule 11 sanctions. This relief must be granted to Glendora on default judgment. As a Cablevision shareholder being ripped off by Kuhlman, Glendora objects. Kuhlman's instant paper shows how phony his paper 2 weeks ago was. He said therein he was not opposing because of his motion to dismiss. If it applies to Glendora's motion to add Salhouse at all. Kuhlman spells Shukin correctly in his paper and incorrectly in the caption. He is caption captious. Glendora did not sue Mark Shushkin. She does not know him. Nowhere does Kuhlman state he is fully familiar with the facts and circumstances. Kuhlman does not serve all parties. His paper is not legal. The memorandum should be accompanied by an affirmation. Kuhlman does not declare he's telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but, so help him God. And this is page 3. This is not a motion, quote unquote, to amend. It is simply a Rule 18 to 22 motion to add defendants. Kuhlman should know that parties are added or dropped routinely. Kuhlman writes, the claims plaintiff Glendora intends to assert against the new defendants are not claims which are wholly unrelated to any of the claims in the complaint. Which claims are wholly unrelated? Well, Glendora says there are two lies here. Claim is the same. New York State Business Corporation Law, Section 1315. This is wholly related to plaintiff's causes as stated in the May Day complaint. Kuhlman is misrepresenting again. He says that The new claims all relate to the desire by Glendora to inspect the shareholder and just a minute. Holder list of Cablevision Systems Corporation, a Delaware corporation, for the reasons defendants of and Glendora says that Cablevision Systems Corporation is a Delaware corporation allowed only to do business in the state of New York. As a foreign corporation, Article 13 of the New York State Business Corporation Law, Section 1315, mandates that Cablevision Systems Corporation Group 1 defendant show Glendora the shareholder list, show her agent, and let both make extracts. Just yesterday, proposed defendant Paul Ryan violated the statutory right. Glendora's demand number 64. 64 times proposed defendant Salhouse through Astorita have violated plaintiff Glendora's statutory right super. Says Kuhlman, liar for hire for Cablevision, a yes. Motion to dismiss this action filed May 30th, 2000. Venue would be improper. Eastern District of Missouri over the 5 individuals plaintiff Glendora seeks to join. And Glendora says Kuhlman's failure to substantiate the same is fatal. Then why did proposed defendant Salhouse through Astorita show Glendora and Franklin lists of shareholders pursuant to Delaware law on November 3rd, Friday 2000, November 8th, Wednesday 2000, and November 10th, Friday 2000. Kuhlman is not familiar with the facts and circs. Franklin and Glendora copied by hand 40 pages of the wrong list. Showed us on November 3rd and 42 pages out of 80 of the right list, right quote unquote, on November 8th and November 10th. It took 39 hours. Now Franklin and Glendora want to copy pages 43 to 80 with their desktop Canon PC 310. This would take less than an hour. Proposed defendants and established defendants violate the statutory right, Section 1315, under New York law, Article 13, foreign corporation. And Kuhlman says, add additional. Now that's good English, isn't it? Kuhlman writes, this is just more tautology. Glendora's motion must be granted for one simple reason. It is the law. Salhouse through Astorita have violated this law. Robert Callagy is a defendant and cannot defend co-defendants. He must be sanctioned under Rule 11 and the professional code. Rule 11 further requires a signature. Kuhlman should know enough not to list Callagy. Nothing in Kuhlman paper is sufficient herein to defeat Glendora's motion. It must be granted immediately. Kuhlman has no jurat. Poor person Glendora asks this court, please, to give her justice. Tout sweet. She cannot afford the printing, postage, traveling, and time. She does not have the money. She asks justice and mercy. Neither Kuhlman nor Price give proof. They are admitted to the bar of this court. Certainly defendant Callagy is not. Service list is on 33 people, including Kuhlman and Price at their designated addresses. Dated White Plains, New York, November 16, 2000. Anno Domini, yours in truth, Glendora. Stats. Opus 489. The paper took 4 hours, cost $17. The total cablevision damages to Glendora in hours and dollars is 3103 hours, 3,103 hours, $14,835. And for Galgano versus James L. Dolan, the costs are 972 hours, $2,410. First,
the Mount Vernon Bank. There were 25 people in line, so I couldn't deposit Mr. South's check. But I got money out of it at ATM. Plains Post Office. And did all that business.
what business? You mailed 10 tapes to Diane Bennett?
Yes,
You bought stamps?
yeah,
You got the in-mail?
yeah.
What else?
I think that was it. I went to Staples and got those things.
What did you get? Scotch tape? What other tape? Duct tape?
Yes.
Well, you bought it there instead of the dollar store?
He said not to buy any more at the dollar store.
Not to buy any more like that gray.
I went to Harrison. And did the tapes.
Ralph?
No, it was about 1 o'clock when I left here. So I had no,
You went to Harrison and handed in a chat with Glendora and picked it up.
yeah.
Okay, there it is right there. And then what? Then you went to the White Plains Public Access.
That's right. And Lynn brought the tape in.
And you gave her a tape.
Yes, that's right.
So it's done.
Yes,
The distribution is done for this week.
that's right.
Then where?
Then I went to Saks. And it was locked up.
On the outside?
No, on the inside. I put it under the door.
Oh, that's good. That's all of the legal papers go to Saks. And then they go to the Center for Judicial Accountability, Incorporated. And you went there next?
I didn't have anything to take there. Because Saks was locked up. The old dollar store.
Did you find any little staplers?
Oh yes, I think I did. I bought only one because I'm not sure.
So what did you get at CVS?
They had no your size pond, so I got a big one since you use it anyway.
Oh, yes. How much?
$6. The
No.
other's $4.
What's that? The other one's $4?
4.
And did you get grape nuts?
Yes.
How much?
$1.99.
Oh, good.
That's advertised.
At the dollar store, those are 3 nice pairs of gloves you bought. Green and cream
Those
and
are
black.
the 3 colors they had. They had black and red and blue, no green. So I got blue.
That's at Staples?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank at 1 o'clock.
So Franklin left at 1 o'clock, and I didn't finish that paper until 5:30. All afternoon. That's just one. That leaves 12 to do. 12 is better than 19.
That's right.
The next one is Ecker, another old man judge in Alabama, and the New York City Parking Violations Bureau. Good morning, folks. This is November 17th, Friday at 9 a.m. Rusty's been out. He was out at 5:30 for a stroll, and then he went out again. In Alabama and the New York City Parking Violations Bureau. Good morning, folks. This is November 17th, Friday at 9 a.m. Rusty's been out. He was out at 5:30 for a stroll, and then he went out again at 8:15 for a stroll, and he's right here now. We're really happy. This is a much nicer week than last week, chasing Charles Dolan for violating the New York state law and the Delaware law about not showing shareholder the shareholders ledger, not letting us copying it, and that ended in great triumph. His meeting had to be canceled because Glendora asked for everything at the November 10th meeting to be annulled on the basis of his violation of Delaware law, Section 219. So the New York State parking violations law, I started to write it last night just before bedtime, 8:30. And this morning I finished writing it. Now it's being printed, and I'm going to read it to you. I'm pleased because the wood in the patio is all cleaned up, and there's no more burning wood, and the dining room's all cleaned up. And then this red car that's been abandoned over here with a Georgia license is out. It's gone. I didn't see it go, but it's gone. So things are neat and tidy. And so here is the caption page. This is for you, Rich Ruggles, Glendora close-ups. The court is the United States District Court, Northern District of Alabama, I guess. The date is November 17, 2000, 6 days from Veterans Day. The case number is Civ 00AR-AK for Acker 2381S. The plaintiff is Glendora. The defendants are the City of New York, its mayor, Rudolph Giuliani, its Parking Violations Bureau, its sheriff, Teresa Mason, Peter San Marco, assistant to Michael Phillips, deputy commissioner, Parking Violations Bureau, New York City, and Don Glow Auto Service Towing are the defendants. And under penalty of perjury, Glendora declares she is telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and always has. So help her God. And that is page 1. Let me get the last page rolling. Don't like this copy cartridge. It's just not dark enough. My little Canon PC 310 does a better job than this does. I sign this in red. If it's in black, the clerks come along and spit on it to see if it's an original signature or a printed one. So when it's in red, they don't have to spit on it. And I put the designated address with a red stamp. We got a blue ink pad yesterday. I was looking for a green one. The Staples didn't have one. They should. They're both from Massachusetts. Carter's is from, Carter's is from around Boston. Denison is around Framingham. And Staples is around there somewhere. Okay. Let's try test copy, and I'll read you page 2. Copy your own legal papers. The whole process comes out of this office. We don't even go to Staples anymore. They changed their price. So we have to do it ourselves. And if this is okay, we'll go after 13 sets. Here we go. Maybe I should put a service list on that. Page 2. Acker, that's the judge, this ancient judge in Alabama, has never ruled on Glendora's Rule 60B motion, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, for relief from order. His order was to transfer her case to the Southern District of New York. A Rule 60B motion stops the clock on the 30-day limit to appeal Glendora. Still can appeal to the 11th Circuit, that's in Atlanta, Acker error and abuse of discretion and default judgment, since Acker copped out on Glendora's motion for same. Do you defendants want things to go to the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit? Glendora paid you $439.06. Actually, it was Franklin. You returned $133.15. Then you returned $285.50. Thank you. If you subtract those two amounts from $439, the defendants are owing $20.41. The arithmetic is bad. What happened to the other $20.41? End page 2. Page 3. Glendora also wants costs, post-print travel, of $203.64, together with time and labor of 156 hours times $250 per hour equals $39,000. Finally, Glendora seeks $60 million in compensatory and punitive damages that you never do this again to the public. You learn what proper legal service is. And until you serve a person legally, you don't go stealing her car and induce stress, time, labor, and costs. Now, what are you going to do about this? Does Glendora appeal the error and abuse of discretion by Ecker? Does she wait for Mecum to straighten out Ecker and the Southern District of New York as to transfer? Does she withdraw the action if it is filed in the Southern District of New York? Page 4. Or does she simply give everybody 2 weeks to December the 8th, 2000 Friday, and file a new action in another federal court? Dated White Plains, New York, November 17, 2000, Anno Domini, yours in truth, Glendora, a chat with Glendora, Box 416, White Plains, New York. Now, Leonidas, isn't that a lovely name? Leonidas Ralph Mecum is the administrator of the U.S. courts in Washington, and he's doing a terrible job. We haven't met a decent U.S. court yet, have we? Not a district court and not a court of appeals, and of course the U.S. Supreme Court is hopeless. So this is a letter to Leonidas Ralph Mecum, Administrator, U.S. Courts, Washington, D.C., 20544. Acker in Alabama said he transferred the case to the U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York, but he never sent an order. He gets everything mixed up, and he is probably mixed up on this. Further, Glendora has received no notice from the United States District Court, Southern District, New York, that the case was transferred, nor has she received any instructions. Will you check into this and tell me what the status is? First of all, what court is it in? Glendora will write the defendants and ask them to pay her costs and damages. If they decline, she will sue them in another court. This is with the picture of Bob Hope and Glendora. So that's page 1 and 2. Here's page 3 to Mecum. As Glendora informed you, Acker never did his duty on Glendora's Rule 60B motion of September 17th. This stops the clock on 30 days to appeal. Glendora could appeal the order for transfer. Acker also failed on the motion for default judgment. Defendants are in default and must not get away with it. Dated White Plains, New York, November 17, 2000, Anno Domini, yours in truth, Glendora. Okay, I've got to make a service list. I'll tell you what the service list is. To the 6 defendants. To Glendora TV audience, that's you, the most important of all. To the Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated. To Mecum. To Phillips, that's 10. To Fiorella, where Rusty came from and where this all happened. And to, what's his name? Trambino, what's his name, Franklin?
Who's that?
The so-called lawyer in the Corporation Counsel's office, City of New York. Anyway, that's who. And there's one more. Where it was, please. That way. Hold it. Okay. No. Has to be in the corner. A little more. Franklin, the doorknob came off in my hand from one of those heavy mahogany doors in the foyer. And Franklin put the doorknob back on. Thank you. Was the screw there?
Yeah.
Thank you. And Franklin's done his exercises for Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday. Okay, I got the service list together. 6 defendants, Glendora TV Audience Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated, Phillips Fiorella, Meckham, Beltrano is the name of that lawyer. Clerk of the Court, Alabama, 13 sets, 5 hours, $8.
Wednesday, 11:15 a.m.
Hi, Glendora. It's Amy calling from Cablevision in Woodbury. I just left a message on your other machine as well. I just got 2 tapes from you in the mail today, and I'm a little confused. I've got one, number 2932-7, and it says it's a special that was edited on 10/31, which is great. And then I do have one more tape, which is 2931-6, and it's dated November 19th, which is a Sunday. So I don't know if you wanted this to be a special as well, or if you meant for it to be on the 17th. But you can just give me a call back at 393-3617 and let me know. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Well, I just called Amy now, and I got a recorder, and I told her, this is 9:45 on Friday morning, I told her that I don't know what the mix-up was with the numbers, but to go ahead and do whatever she wanted to do. Put the one in for Friday night regular, and then put the specials wherever she wants to put them. And she can put any one she wants into the Friday night. And whatever she does is okay. She does excellent work. Here are the calls again from Huntington.
Wednesday, 4:59 p.m.
Goo-goo. Goo-goo or cuckoo.
5 p.m. Saturday, 7:10 p.m. 7:23 p.m. Monday, 3:51 p.m.
It's not election day, and Glendora, you are a total wet job.
Total nut job.
3:52 p.m.
This is...
If you get this message, ignore the other one that's saying you're a nut job. There's no reason why Cablevision has to fly the state flag as long as they fly the American flag. And whether or not how many Cablevision flags they fly is totally up to them. But they got the American flag flying, and you, who's got your red, white, and blue boxes and telling people to vote, you're a total nut job. The American flag, it stands for something. Why don't you study that instead of what you're reading?
Obviously a Dolan.
Thursday, 2:01 p.m. Thursday, 2:02 p.m.
Hi, just in case you received this letter, this voicemail, my name is Rebecca Vega. I just wanted to know if you help ordinary people. My pastor is being harassed by his building management, and he's 77. They want to give him a smaller apartment, and his wife both sick. They need to see it separately. If you could help us, call me at 718-992-5569. I would appreciate any help you can give to my pastor. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All messages. All messages. Hang up. Delete.
These landlords, they're as bad as cable TV operators. Landlords, in the majority, are bad, bad people. I'm addressing, putting the return address on the envelopes and pasting the addresses. Rusty, you want to go out again? Okay. Well, you can't eat, you know, until noontime. You had a cookie when you came back from your walk because you're such a good doggy. Okay, when I finish these envelopes, I'll let you go out again for another stroll. So what's on the docket for today? I believe there's 15 legal papers, 120 telephone calls. It's an in-day, no errands. Meditate, create, pray, and 15 details. That adds up to what? 170 things to do? In a daytime, if you can get 30 done, you're doing well. And that's every minute. That's no rest. Paper of the day. This is the case against the New York Law Journal, who wrote everything bad about Glendora and about public access, and wrote everything good about cablevision. And obviously, what does that mean to you? Certainly. So, they were all sued in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Arkansas. Glendora plaintiff versus Bruce Wasserstein, American Lawyer Media Incorporated, George M. Dillahay, Lee Jones, and Julia C. Mead, defendants. Wasserstein owns this New York Law Journal. Dillahay is the publisher or the editor. Jones is a Long Island editor, and Mead is the one who did the dastardly deed. Now, this case was brought in the United States District Court, as I just read to you, Eastern District of Arkansas. It fell into the hands of a judge named George Howard, Coward Howard. And he didn't want to read the complaint. It was the well-pleaded complaint. It was perfect. And it was long, and because what they did, they broke so many laws. That's why it was long, and he just didn't want to read it. So he told me to make it short, and he told me to give the reason for venue. The reason is obvious. It's a federal question, and Glendora cannot get justice in her own district. So, and then he shows his true colors. This is the... just a second, I have to get... United States District Court, Eastern District of Arkansas. Glendora plaintiff versus Bruce Wasserstein. American Lawyer Media Incorporated, George M. Dillahay, Lee Jones, and Julia C. Mead, defendants. Wasserstein owns the New York Law Journal. American Lawyer Media is his corporation. Delaney is the editor, Lee Jones is a Long Island editor, and Julia C. Mead is the one who did the dastardly deed. Notice of motion, Rule 60B, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure for relief from order. 1, the movement is Glendora. 2, the return date is December 7, 2000, Pearl Harbor Day, a day that lives in infamy. Location is courtroom assigned to George Howard, United States District Court, Eastern District of Arkansas. 600 West Capitol Avenue, Little Rock, Arkansas, 72201. Relief requested is relief from order illegally and capriciously and frivolously dismissing plaintiff's action. The legal basis is Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 60B. The grounds are that Howard had no grounds. Supporting papers are Glendora's well-pleaded complaint of July the 29th, her Labor Day memorandum on your day in court, the federal court experience, her September 23rd motion of default judgment, her Rule 60B motion, Columbus Day, for relief from order of 9/15, all year 2000, and the affixed affirmation in support. Service of this notice of motion and affirmation in support was upon the 5 defendants, Clerk of the Court, Howard, Glendora TV audience, and Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated. The date of service is today, November 17, 2000, by U.S. mail, dated White Plains, New York, November 17, 2000, Anno Domini, yours in truth, Glendora, chat with Glendora. Here's the affirmation in support. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God, and always has. The defendants have not, and this court does not. Glendora's case cannot be dismissed. C. Glendora Plaintiff Appellant versus Cablevision Systems Corporation, Charles F. Dolan, William J. Bell, Mark A. Lesgarten, etc. And the date is January the 11th, 1995. However, in view of the well-settled rule, particularly applicable in pro se civil rights actions, that a complaint should not be dismissed unless it appears beyond doubt that the plaintiff can prove no set of facts in support of her claim which would entitle her to relief. A. Glendora's pro se. B. This is a civil rights case. C. Howard has robbed her of her right to prove beyond a doubt the set of facts which entitle her to relief. Just because a judge is too lazy and undisciplined to sit down and read a complaint the well-pleaded complaint is no grounds for dismissal. Dismissal was inexcusably harsh. It tells more about the judge than about the complaint. Now he writes, on September 15, 2000, the court granted plaintiff 30 days to file an amended complaint, setting forth the basis for venue and jurisdiction in this court, as well as a short and plain statement of the basis upon which she seeks relief. The court warned plaintiff that failure to comply with the order would result in dismissal of the complaint. A. Glendora gave the basis for venue and jurisdiction. B. Glendora gave a short and plain statement of the basis for relief, Rule 12.6b. C. Glendora now warns the court if this case is not adjudicated swiftly on its merits, she will appeal to the 8th or sue Howard. Maybe both. It's faster to sue than it is to appeal. Writes Howard, or his one-year law clerk, freshman out of college. In so ordering, the court noted that the complaint contained rambling allegations regarding provision of cable services. The court was unable to determine the nature and basis of plaintiff's claims. And Glendora says this is nothing to be proud of, that you can't read and you can't comprehend. This is nothing for a United States District Judge to be proud of. Claims against defendants, the basis for federal court jurisdiction and for venue in the Eastern District of Arkansas. Glendora says the court apparently has an axe to grind. Alternatively, the court should recuse pursuant to 28 U.S. Code Section 144 and Section 454. The court, quote unquote, makes a mockery out of, quote, your day in court, the federal court experience. So far, Howard has robbed Glendora of her day in court. Howard writes, plaintiff has filed a notice of motion for relief from order pursuant to Rule 60B, essentially asserting that she sees no necessity to amend her complaint. Contrary to plaintiff's assertions, the court cannot find that, even assuming that the plaintiff has stated a claim, that would be proper in Arkansas. Therefore, the court will dismiss the complaint. And Glendora says, shame on you. You had a chance to be a hero judge like Judge Green or Judge Parker. Spoiled now is the dream of the Supreme. What's that mean, folks? If he was dreaming of going to the Supreme Court, he's never going now. The complaint is hereby dismissed without prejudice. Without prejudice means you can bring it again. All pending motions are hereby denied. And says Glendora, this is so evil. Give a reason why. Give a law. Give findings of fact. Rationalize your failure to grant Glendora judgment by default, Rule 55, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. How can you get around that? These defendants never appeared. They never defended themselves against the claims. And Glendora wrote a motion for default judgment. And what does Coward Howard do? He ignores it. Shame on you. Now here's a footnote, and now you get down to what he's really up against, or up to. Plaintiff has been characterized as a, quote, litigious individual, unquote. See Glendora versus the City of White Plains, 1999, where the court ruled that the United States Supreme Court has barred her from filing any future non-criminal claims in forma pauperis. See Glendora versus Porzio. Now that's justice. That's ruling on its merits. That's objectivity. That's impartiality. That's unbiased. Glendora says, recuse, 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 Section 144 and Section 454. Why is this? Now you get down to what he's really up against, or up to. Plaintiff has been characterized as a, quote, litigious individual, unquote. See Glendora versus the City of White Plains, 1999, where the court ruled that the United States Supreme Court has barred her from filing any future non-criminal claims in forma pauperis. See Glendora versus Porzio. Now that's justice. That's ruling on its merits. That's objectivity. That's impartiality. That's unbiased. Glendora says, recuse, 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 Section 144 and Section 454. Why is this? In a footnote. Now you have shown your true colors. Here you have a splendid cause of action that goes straight to the heart of America, and you sell your soul. You did not serve all parties. You have to. Glendora gave you all the addresses. So once again, dear friends, the crooks are rewarded, and the good guys are forsaken, and America is betrayed. A good American Article III judge would have been true to his oath. Wherefore plaintiff Glendora pleads for relief from the within atrocious order and recusal of George Howard and all of the relief sought in her supporting papers listed in the notice of motion, together with the costs of this motion and all relief just and proper, dated White Plains, New York, November 17, 2000, Anno Domini, yours in truth, Glendora. This paper, this is Opus 491. It took 4 hours. It cost $3.92, which is close to $4. And the total lost in this bad court is 126 and a quarter hours and $1,123.05. Amen. Another United States District Judge sells his soul. Tell you something new? Well, folks, I went to the post office and I served that paper on Coward Howard and bought stamps and went to the A&P to buy a treat for Rusty and for Franklin, but there were such long lines I went out again. And then I came back again and the lines were just as long. Now we're going to move on to legal paper number 3 of the day, and it says from the Manhattan Public Access folks, it says if the information below is correct, do not return this form. It's a renewal. Now I think that's a very sensible way to renew a public access program, don't you? And so I have, I'm going to send it to Thomas Garger, our very nice person in public access, and suggest that Cablevision be that sensible about renewing a public access program. I'm so happy that we haven't heard from them anymore on the public access kit number 3, which was just as illegal, just as un-American, and just as imperious as numbers 1 and 2 were. And we haven't heard from them. That's good. And now you're hearing from Rusty, because he's having his dinner. He's getting fed so well, he's really too fat. So let's send this to Tom Garger. That'll be legal paper number 3 for the day. And then we'll go on to number 4. We woke up this morning with 13 legal papers to do. So now there's 10. If we break 10, that's good. If we break 6, that's very good, because I can do 6 legal papers in a day.
I don't know if a judge can do anything in 10 days. That's what I guess I'm trying to find out.
Okay.
Is it at all hopeful that a judge could get that? But it's had to be less than that, because I've got to get up and get back and see the sheriff.
Here's the blueberry pie that Franklin and I made. It smells so good, and it looks so good. Well, it doesn't look very good, but it looks as though it will taste good. It's Friday afternoon, November 17th, and Glennie's going to start the 4th legal paper today, out of 13. You saw that great big cake that the people at church gave me? They had it Saturday night for the fun night, and then they had it Sunday morning for coffee hour, and then they gave the rest of it to me. And I gave a piece this big in a plate to the people next door. And the lady of the house there says, "I'll return your plate to you." Today she returned the plate, and it was covered with foil, and the plate was piled high. So just about an hour ago, Franklin and I opened the surprise to see what it was. Oh, she made them. They're homemade. They're like cream puffs, except they don't have any cream in them. And they are delectable. And she covered them with a light sugar frosting. Oh, wow. And our blueberry pie, by the way, was delicious. So we've been in all day doing legal papers, and this is the fourth one. And what does that leave us with? I don't know anymore. See, if we had 13 to start out in the day, and we did 4, that's 9. Well, that's good. It's getting closer to under 10, and the in-mail was nothing much. It was a renewal for BronxNet, and I've got to call Gene Crescenzi. He's got lots of reports for you. Okay, this paper is the situation, well, it tells you what it is. October 29th, 2000, Halloween time. United States District Court, District of New Mexico. Glendora plaintiff versus Jackie Sellers, Nancy Rickard, Public Access Corporation of the District of Columbia, its officers, its board, National Association of Telecommunications Officers and Advisors, and its president, Anderson. And this is, it'll be 2000 SIB blank, 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 blank. It'll be 2, 3 numbers, 3, 4 numbers, and then the initials of the United States District Judge in parenthesis, Bowlegs. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora declares she is telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God. Defendants have not. Defendants are in violation of the Cable Television Policy Act of 1984, codified as 47 U.S. Code, Section 521, et sec. Congress's intent, pellucidly stated, is to establish a national policy regarding cable television. Also, Congress's intent, pellucidly stated at the top of the Act, is to ensure as wide a diversity of information to the public as possible. You are the public. You're the all-important public. You're the one. You're the boss. Don't you forget that. Defendants are either nesciently or willfully violating the statute on these 2 counts. Further, defendants, Sellers through Anderson, are in rank violation of public access law, Section 531E. They cannot exercise editorial control over public access. Sellers has repeatedly stated, quote, of interest to D.C. and residents, unquote. This is on audio tape. Further, Congress made no law that non-resident programs be prejudiced. This is discrimination, and defendants, Sellers through board, are sued for same. Congress's intent clearly is that public access must not be limited and prohibited. Sellers through board have done nothing but August through October, year 2000. Defendants, Sellers through board, are in violation of public access mandate, first come, first serve. For months, Glendora has been submitting a chat with Glendora every week and requesting a time, day, channel of cablecast. Not one program has been cablecast. Defendants, Sellers through board fail in the requirement of designated full-time public access channels. There should be no delay, no procrastination, no stalling, no artificial excuses for getting the information into the coaxial cables and getting it to the public timely. You're the public. Sellers' October 17, 2000 letter to Glendora and her telephone statements are riddled with same. And speaking of riddled, quote unquote, Glendora has been on Manhattan public access, managed by Executive Director Anthony Riddle, since 1974, every week, as Glendora, a chat with Glendora. Anthony Riddle is well known to defendant Nancy Rickard through the Alliance for Community Media, a DC-based association of public access producers nationwide. Point is, a simple call to Riddle by Rickard would have verified that Glendora's name is Glendora. I'm suing these people because they don't believe I'm Glendora. Defendants, Sellers through board, are sued for violating Glendora's right to go by the name she chooses. Is Cher harassed for being Cher? Is Madonna harassed for being Madonna? And if defendants, Sellers through board, were not legally illiterate, they would know that no matter how Glendora signed the paper, even if it were by the letter X, it is legally valid. Is Jackie Sellers, quote unquote, a legal name? Is Nancy Rickard a legal name? Did either provide proof to Glendora of same? The frivolous violating of limiting and prohibiting public access has brought on these defendants this cause of action. Glendora will fight to her death the rights of public access. It is a great 20th century institution indigenous to America and must be preserved against its enemies, defendants herein, inter alia. Give Congress credit for its creation when cable TV emerged, since broadcast television totally flopped on public access. The United States government has an interest in this lawsuit. For all reasons stated so far, the government has an interest in this lawsuit. Enforcing the intent of the Cable Television Policy Act of 1984 as amended in 1992 and 1996. First Amendment Bill of Rights. Public access is both a designated and a traditional public forum. The 1984 Act made it designated. Congress made it traditional as an electronic soapbox, quote unquote. Defendants have violated plaintiff's free speech. Further, defendants have violated the public's First Amendment right to know. Not only is my free speech violated, but yours is violated because you have a right to know. You have a right to hear it. What Glendora reports on TV is vital for the public to know. This is a democracy. Just as a gentle reminder, a democracy depends on an informed electorate. Look what has happened in this election so far. Gore and Bush. Again, the government has an interest in this action. U.S. District Judge. Defendants further violate plaintiffs' and public's First Amendment right to assemble peacefully. Glendora is using public access and has for 28 years to assemble peacefully for reform of public wrongs. Service by the U.S. Marshals. Glendora will give defendants their right to acknowledge this lawsuit and waive the cost of serving summons, pursuant to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 4D. 4D is an important rule of the Judicial Conference of the United States. When defendants turn fugitives, Glendora will remind the court she has a right by Title 28 U.S. Code, since she is in forma pauperis, to have the United States Marshal Service serve the summons. This service costs the taxpayers and defendants are addressed herein. They have a civic duty to acknowledge the lawsuit and save the U.S. this cost. Defendants' addresses are given in back of the complaint. Federal question and diversity of citizenship. Of the two, plaintiff invokes federal question, statutory and constitutional rights. Public access belongs to the public. Defendants, sellers through board, think they own public access. Nay, public access belongs to the public. Said defendants think they have stolen public access from us. Well, they have not. We own it. Congress gave it to us. Most egregious violation of public access. No public access producer should ever have to pay money to have his public access program cablecast. This is preposterously anti-Congress. No money should pass in or out of public access. Defendants' stridency shocked Glendora's soul when first mentioned by defendants. But Glendora cannot sue prospectively. She had to wait until it happened to her. And they charged me $20. And we sent them $20. On this transgression, standing alone, Glendora must be granted a temporary restraining order to cease censorship and cablecast Glendora's programs weekly, as they are supplied, and to make good the holdbacks in 2 days. Temporary restraining order. Plaintiff seeks said restraining order during pendency of this action. Timeliness. A glance at seller's October 17th letter. Something. Total of the immediacy of television. If one cannot do television live with voice, sound, picture, and color, the next best thing is to tape, to go TV within a day, go on TV within a day or two, or at most the same week. Sellers would cablecast August's news in October. It is all the same to her. Such is amateur and unprofessional and lacks grasp what TV's power is. New Mexico as venue. A study of Moore's federal practice, chapter on venue, makes it tellingly cogent. Congress favors forum shopping. Glendora favors New Mexico because there people appear to know what public access means to the public. Non-resident a chat with Glendora has been on both Santa Fe and Los Alamos public access for almost a year. Glendora needs a forum that knows what Congress legislated. A Chat with Glendora is also cablecast weekly in Portland, Oregon, and Buffalo, New York, without all of the nonsense sellers through board impose. Further, a glance at Pacer will show you Glendora cannot get justice in the EDNY, the SDNY, nor the U.S. District Court, D.C. I have tried all of those courts, and they've all failed miserably. What an American's rights are. Glendora beat Cablevision on 531E. The largest single system, 450,000 subscribers, Cablevision Systems Corporation, Nassau County, Long Island, took Glendora's program off TV because she was reporting the county executive was not protecting the consumers by letting Scott Lord operate an underground lawn sprinkler business without a consumer affairs license. This was unbiased editorial control. Oh, no, excuse me, this was unabashed. No, not unbiased, but this was unabashed editorial control. The court ordered Cablevision to return the program to TV. Plaintiff has a statutory right to be on TV and must be returned to TV. Before this, U.S. Code annotated had no cases. 531E was empty. Glendora further won private right of action. If defendant sellers, through board, had not prohibited a chat with Glendora, they would know how to defend themselves in this action without a lawyer. There is nothing so simple about public access that the defendants cannot make it difficult. Rickard was wrong not to take Glendora's calls and to leave it in the inept hands of sellers. The warning was clear that the autocratic imperialism would lead to a lawsuit. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Fed Rules Civ Pro, Rule 8. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 8. This is a Rule 8 notice complaint. Glendora has all of the documentation and the audio tapes to prove her claims. The law is on her side, and the facts are on her side, and she is on the side of Congress. Defendants Natoa and Anderson. Glendora interviewed Anderson over the phone for her TV show. He told Glendora to contact Nancy Rickard and DCTV about having a chat with Glendora cablecast thereon. This was bad advice and cost Glendora time, money, labor, and stress. Not one program out of 1 cent every week has been cablecast. This is a verified complaint. Wherefore? Wherefore, therefore, and ergo. Plaintiff Glendora demands an injunction on defendants, sellers through board, to cease obstruction to cablecasting a chat with Glendora, in order to cablecast the program on a weekly time slot, same day, same hour, same channel, in prime time. $500,000 in punitive and compensatory damages. The cost of this action, together with any further relief, just and proper. Dated White Plains, New York, November 17, 2000. Yours in truth, Glendora. A chat with Glendora, box 416. Here is their acknowledgement of receipt of the complaint, and down here it tells them that they have a civic duty to do that. Otherwise, it's going to cost taxpayers money to have this complaint served. And then here is the waiver of the complaint. And under penalty of perjury, Glendora declares she served by first-class mail, U.S. mail, on November 4th, 2000. No, on November 17th, 2000, the following upon each defendant: 2 copies each of the notice of lawsuit and request to waiver of summons, 2 copies each of the waiver of service of summons, 2 copies each of the duty to avoid unnecessary costs of service of summons, and a copy of the complaint, and an envelope stamped 33 cents and addressed to Glendora, chat with Glendora, etc. Glendora served the within upon each defendant listed infra at the addresses listed herein. Yours in truth, Glendora. This is what the envelope looked like that was put into the big envelope. Next are the exhibits. Here is seller's letter saying they're not going to cablecast the program until Glendora proves that her name is Glendora. And here is Glendora's refutation of seller's letter. And here is a copy of Franklin's check for $20. They should. They're so stupid. They're right there in Washington, D.C., right next to Congress, and they do a dumb thing like that. And they have a D.C. TV in Manhattan, Chinatown. The partnership with D.C. TV, Downtown Community Television, Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And here is Glendora's application stating that her name is Glendora. Okay, that's it. That's legal paper number 4, and it's 20 minutes to 8 on November 17th, 2000. Good morning, folks. This is November 18th, and we're behind in our lectures by Eugene Crescenzi. But we have him here on the phone, and he's going to do the lecture for November 5th. We're behind 3 weeks because of cablevision law breaking. Okay, Gene, what are you going to enlighten us about today?
I'm going to enlighten you on the racketeering of the Judas K. especially, and ex-Judge Bellacosa, who has now been promoted to Dean of St. John's Law School. They're running a racket to enforce judgments made in fraud of the court by so-called collection attorneys, that they Instead, they give sewer service. They have changed the law while Judge Bellicosa was the administrative judge of the court system of the state of New York, of the court administration of the state of New York. They changed the law about getting jurisdictions. So what they did was they legalized sewer service. And right now, I can, on the top of my head, I can point to a number of cases where the courts have protected this false sewer service, especially done by these collection attorneys and Dreyfus Fund and American Express use these lawyers, and they use their power to of political donations and so forth to support the stealing of money and the supporting of a fraudulent bankruptcy system under the federal law. So now we have the racketeering generated by the court system by Judith Kay herself. She is part of this. Bellicosa, he was part of this when they changed the CPLR law about getting jurisdiction with sewer service. Now, sewer service means literally what it says. You throw the papers down the sewer and you make an affidavit that you served the defendant, and the guy doesn't know anything about it, and he's victimized. For the rest of his life, he's punished as if he was a criminal because he can't get credit anyplace. His name is stigmatized with having a false judgment against him, and there is very little that he can do about it without going out and paying a lawyer, which is more punishment, in order to open up this racketeering generated by the court system, by Judith Kay herself, by ex-judge Joseph Bellicosa. And, of course, all of the judges follow that. Now, this is generated, is also protected by the Supreme Court of the United States because they reject any petitions for review based upon this type of sewer service. Complete lack of jurisdiction, but because it's written in the law, they protect it. And this is one of the, and this of course is at the basis of the civil court problem, which even recently now at a meeting that was reported in last week's Catholic New York, that the bishop at the bishops' conference, the main concern of the bishops' conference was that the court system is not geared to do justice to people, to the people who are not able to finance lawyers and pay legal fees, and they've got to be punished. So as a result, what they do, it's a self-feeding prophecy. First, they get these people into trouble financially, and then they criminalize them by punishing them by stigmatizing their credit and so forth. Now, something has to be done. The biggest ones that I know, the biggest offenders of this, are the law firms themselves, the bar associations that promote these, that approve these statutes as they go through. They have statutory committees, and they approve the statutes of this professional racketeering. And of course, we have the and then they criminalize them by punishing them by stigmatizing their credit and so forth. Now something has to be done. The biggest ones that I know, the biggest offenders of this, are the law firms themselves, the bar associations that promote these, that approve these statutes as they go through. They have statutory committees, and they approve the statutes of this professional racketeering. And of course, we have the example of our own mayor, who is the metaphor of the mafia don or padrino, however you want to call him in English or Italian.
What's that word?
Don or padrino, P-A-D-R-I-N-O. It's Italian for Godfather.
P-A-D-R-I-N-O?
Right. And he refuses, he protects this by refusing to have subpoena powers on the police department, because it's all operated through the police department that has the guns to shoot the people that eventually become victimized by this protected racketeering. And this, of course, is and you can't go near the state legislatures, because they won't support this. Most of them are lawyers or lawyers who aspire to be judges, and the racketeering continues. Not only that, they get support. They're even protected by the court personnel. I know of a case where they actually attempted to, and they do lose return receipt registered in the mail. They use the mail. It's even protected by the postal authorities, who allow the mail to be used, or at least the pretext of the mail. But I think sometimes they actually send out mailings, and they use the post office, or they make false affidavits to the effect that they mailed the false claims, the fraudulent claims, to the individual. So to the extent that the post office must know about this, and it's required in the law, even the post office is part of this protected fraud upon the courts, upon the country, upon the judiciary, upon our system, and upon the American Constitution. And nothing is done about it, except to make more misery, which the politicians exploit to the maximum. Now this is something that has to be addressed, and it should be addressed in immediate action by the courts to take a look at this and do something about it by putting out immediate releases that they will no longer recognize the sewer service in this form, even though they comply with the letter of the law, because the letter of the law is a contradiction in itself, because the purpose of the law is to give notice, and the means of operation of giving this notice is contradictory, because they allow sewer service. They protect sewer service, which means they throw the papers down the sewer, and and perjury, they perjure themselves when they make the affidavits that they put them in the mail, and they send them to the right addresses. So this is what the judicial system is, how the judicial system supports racketeering, organized crime, syndicated crime, and it's all part of the judicial system. And of course, as long as the lawyers don't have a collective bargaining agreement, they keep their mouths shut. Otherwise, they'll end up with disciplinary proceedings for either being crazy or for being for some form of false accusations of having abused the judicial process. So I think that's enough for the first one. Now,
just tell me, how is Judith Kay involved in it?
how is because she is the Chief Justice, and she is the one who gets reports, who gets quarterly reports on the operations of the court exactly with respect to sewer service on the operation of the court. They actually, there's a section of the law, 5015 CPLR, in which which provides for post-judgment relief, meaning after judgment is filed, if you have the money to pay a lawyer after you've been punished with stigmatization, now they want you to be punished by going out and supporting a lawyer who will support the fraud on the court by saying that by not revealing the mechanism of the sewer service. The lawyers will tend to polish their paperwork.
So these things come into her and she does nothing about it?
And she does nothing about it.
Okay. Gene, listen to me, please.
Yes.
I brought a case of sewer service before the United States Supreme Court.
Yes.
Glendora versus Porzio. Guess what the United States Supreme Court did to me? The United States Supreme Court said Glendora cannot file any more civil suits in the United States Supreme Court as informer pauperis. She is prospectively barred from ever being informer pauperis in this court in civil cases.
Well, that's what I told you. It's punishment without crime.
They
have criminalized you without committing the crime.
Yep.
They've punished you. Being punished under the color of law is equal to being made a criminal. You see, and this is how they do it. They punish honest people for being honest. And, of course, this is why we have a problem with the elections are problematical as to the outcome as to...
Okay. Now, let me say that I have personal knowledge of everything you spoke of this morning.
Okay, listen, I wish it wasn't true, but, you know,
No.
you say it better than I do.
Now let me ask you, have you ever heard of Dr. Vasoli and Henry Hussar? They are putting up a tremendous battle in Suffolk County for this ring and this guy who has been perjuring for years and signing other people's names.
The names ring the bell, but I don't really know anything of what they're doing.
On sewer service. I would just
I
like...
certainly read a lot of material on this, and their names may well have come up.
So I just would like to remind...
I don't know them personally.
I would just like to remind the TV audience about Dr. Carmine Vasili and Henry Hussar, a former policeman, and how they are fighting the battle for sewer service. They put it this way, that a lawyer will open a case in court, and the lawyer will claim that the defendant, the proposed defendant, has been served, and then the proposed, as Gene says, the proposed defendant knows nothing about it, and then the next thing you know, the proposed defendant gets a default judgment against him. And so you go in to court and say, this is not so. This is the first I knew about it. And of course the judge goes with a crooked lawyer and takes some of the proceeds. And this is how people lose their homes.
Exactly. And the city administration do the same thing. Especially the tax office and the Bureau of Parking Violations. They all do the same thing. They get these phony judgments, and then the next thing you know, you're losing your home, and you don't know what it's all about.
Yes, Gene, I'm so glad you brought that up. All righty, now, let's take a pause.
All right.
And now we're going to do the lecture that we should have done last Saturday, which was Veterans Day, November the 11th. Okay, do you want to do that one now?
All right, fine. I will do that now. This time I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to go into the electoral system. And of course, why we have this present fraud upon the electoral system, not only in Florida, but it's been going on for 200 years. And what happens is in the collection the election inspectors, they develop a dynamic, this is all according to prearranged hierarchical approval from the owners of the country, the institutions, and the institutions being the charitable organizations, and the schools and the academic faculties, the law faculty, the medical faculty, the dental faculty. All of them are part of this, including, and it's generated by the bar associations through their committees. And what they do is they decide in advance who's going to be elected. Now, this is especially what Doris Sassow was actually suspended or disbarred because of the fact that there was actually a written agreement in the second department for who would be elected and who would get the judicial positions. Now, they do this. The same thing is followed with the congressional positions and the senatorial and the.
Yeah, that was Castracan. Castracan, yes, up in Albany.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
And she wasn't disbarred; she was just suspended.